them is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
There is. My name is S.M. Gibson, and this is Anti-Media Radio. It is April the 26th, 2016. Speaking of fear, we've had the election results come in tonight. It looks like Big Daddy Trump has swept all 5 states. Hillary Bernie go 3 for 2 in Hillary's way. Big deal. Who cares? That's about all I know about what's happened with the elections today. I kept up with it about like you would a baseball score, but had my head stuck in all kinds of different stories today. One in particular about a young woman named Cheryl Yurkowski. We're going to have her on the program this evening and have her talk about her story, which is just horribly, horribly, horribly tragic. Canadian young woman who got beat up really bad by cops in her own house, and we'll get into all that a little bit later in the program. I guess before we go any further in tonight's top stories, I want to go ahead and bring on our two co-hosts, one co-host and one person that just kind of here and aggravates me. Kevin Knight. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, man, not a whole lot. Glad to be back with you. Looking forward to the show. Sounds like we've got a great one planned.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to get some real info tonight.
Yeah.
And then our wonderful sound director, needs no introduction, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, what's going on?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful, fellas. How are y'all this evening?
Can't complain. I tell you what, before we go any further, anybody care anything about the elections? Want to say anything?
I'd like to know why Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton's companies share the same address in Delaware, but other than that, no, not really. I don't know. Daddy did what Daddy did, and Hillary's in there hilling it up.
I thought it was interesting. You see the article?
Hell no, she won't go.
I'm grateful that nobody that we know of, anyways, has passed away during this election cycle. So that's good.
Well, we'll see. Did you see? I tell you what, I want to say one real thing. The only thing I noticed, and really the only statistic I saw about the election. Everybody's been wondering, why is John Kasich Stadium? Why is John Kasich Stadium? We've gone over this some on the radio show and more in depth on the website at theantimedia.org. But about how John Kasich was actually funded by the GOP establishment. I got to wondering one day, was he being funded by for the establishment?
Yeah, I remember that conversation well.
Because he obviously had no money. So I started doing some digging, and sure enough, the same people that funded Romney and the Bushes and even Rubio are now funding John Kasich, who is $4 million in debt.
Rubio. Remember him?
$4 million in debt. But, so, anyways, why were they spending all that money? Here's the stat of the night. Connecticut, Donald Trump, 59%. John Kasich, 26%.
What?
Ted Cruz, 11%.
Wow.
Yeah, Ted Cruz getting crushed. Delaware, Trump, 61%. Kasich, 20%.
Wow.
Ted Cruz, 15%. Rhode Island, Donald Trump, 64%. John Kasich, 24%. Ted Cruz, 10%.
Wow.
Maryland, Trump, 55. Kasich, 21. Cruz, 18. Pennsylvania, Trump, 58. Cruz, 21. Kasich, 18. So Cruz came in second in one of the states. Kasich came in second in 4 of the states. So that's why they put the money.
With the exception of Ohio, I can't think of another state that he's actually really seriously shown up in.
Because Ted Cruz does not do well around the country. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all a scam anyway.
Well, I mean, the fact that Ted Cruz has gotten as far as he has still creeps me out, man. That guy's just... Yeah. They're all icky people.
Whatever, I don't know why I brought it up. I'm ashamed of myself now.
I mean, who out of that group would you want to go eat dinner with? Bernie, maybe?
No.
Because Bernie's going to expect you to split the bill.
Oh, man, I bet you
he's going to order the most expensive thing on the menu.
Have you seen the...
Yeah.
I tried telling you
split
this.
It in half. Yeah.
I told you this before the show. You haven't seen the idiot Trump interview with about the Kasich and the pancakes.
No.
It's ridiculous. But he's talking about the way he eats pancakes.
And Prince will or Trump will go to any length he can. I mean, remember the Prince who just recently passed away.
Did he? I didn't hear.
Remember the story on that Charlie Murphy told on the Dave Chappelle show about the pancakes. And here we are, Trump and pancakes. I mean, this guy, he'll jump on any bandwagon he can. What's in them pages?
Well,
the 28 pages.
Either way.
We need to know.
Saying it's going to happen.
It's not, man.
I don't think so either.
It'll be so redacted.
Yeah, what 28 pages are we going to... They don't have to redact anything. They can make up a brand new whole 28 pages. See,
well, they would have a harder time doing that because the people that are spearheading this effort, namely Bob Graham and Thomas Massey and a few other, they've actually read the paperwork. Rand Paul, of course. They've read the paperwork. They know what's in it. If the U.S. actually decided to go forward and actually present this in the names of the American people needing to know, which, who would agree that disagree they don't. I don't think we'd ever see, we would see a much bigger shitfest. If
so why is everybody sworn to secrecy about what's in those pages? I mean, why do we need one group or another group to tell us what it is when all of these people have viewed this?
Well, there's only been, only a handful of people, but they're not right now. The federal government in several court cases even refuse to even take up any of the court cases. Mm-hmm. They don't want to even. National security is the claim.
Is it coincidental that Saudi Arabia is currently trying to wean itself off of oil to stimulate its economy, basically 100%, whatever it is?
Oh yeah. They've got a long-term plan that some of the younger...
What is it, by 2020, 2030?
Yeah, 2030, I believe it is. They're trying to get away from oil. We just saw that they actually took out huge, tons of money, loaned...
Why everything there isn't solar anyways is beyond me.
Because look how cheap oil is.
Well, yeah. Especially when you're just pumping it out of the backyard.
Oh, right.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
And that's not having to export it.
Yeah.
Cheers, San Francisco just passed. Their all new buildings are going to have solar on them.
I read that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is you're not going to see very many new buildings in San Francisco.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room.
No, there's no available real estate there whatsoever to build a building on. So good on them, I guess.
Well, at the same time, do we really want the state?
Yeah, that's kind of what's my thought. That was kind of my thought, but I didn't think too deep into it.
Well, this is the same state that wanted to.
Now, I would be for it if we're talking about the actual state buildings, the taxpayer-funded buildings, in an effort to save taxpayers money. But no, we're just talking about all buildings that are built, all buildings. So we're talking about more building ordinances and politicians to be influenced and
more
so
red
on
tape
and so
and more
forth
bureaucracy, basically.
Yada. Yeah, more government. That's exactly what we need.
But hey, if they want to do it, go for it. Keep that shit over there, though. Excuse me.
That's it.
Yeah, you know it's just gonna stay there,
Keep
right?
it in San Francisco.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen, man.
So anyway,
A
we've
tidal wave.
we've jumped all over the place here at the beginning of the show. So yeah,
It's this coffee, man. You make an excellent cup of coffee. I do have to commend you for that.
well, I appreciate that because I'm pretty worthless in most doing stuff.
You really are.
I know. It's true.
Why your wife still lets you live here is beyond me.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really excited to talk to Cheryl Yurkowski tonight. Geez, what a story that's going to be. I don't want to get too in depth to it right now, but man,
if you want to cheat though,
let her tell it.
for all the
she's going to
listeners
be
at
on
home,
around in what, about 20 minutes or so.
yeah, for all the listeners at home that kind of want to get caught up on the story, there's an excellent story up right now. www.theantimedia.org.
The headline of the story is This Woman Woke Up to an Unidentified Cop Creepily Sitting on Her 4-Year-Old's Bed. Man, how would you react?
Woo! Well, I don't know. This is also kind of a little bit of a cautionary tale, too, because this is what happens when you react in the way that Cheryl did. It's a pretty bad story. And again,
Does it matter? Okay, let me throw this out there. Does it matter at all that it was a woman cop?
No.
Zero.
It's always good to have context to a situation. Have all
I agree with
all
that.
the details,
I agree with
but
you, by the way.
It shouldn't matter. No.
No, I don't believe so either.
Well, we're giving too much of the story away. Again, we'll let Cheryl deliver it in her own words. Great interview. It's coming up here about 9:30 or so, 10:30 Eastern.
Well, it depends. People live all over the place.
7:30.
19, 20
Pacific.
minutes, whatever.
Mountain is what? Mountain would be
At some
8:30.
point in the show, she's going to be on. That's all you need
Do you
to know.
know anybody that lives in the Mountain time zone?
No.
I don't either.
I'm sure I do, actually. I just don't realize it. Because you don't ever think about it being a real time zone.
Yeah. Time zones don't exist. So.
They don't. So anyways, I tell you what, I want to go over some of these the headlines on the page right now. Cop sees $53,000 raised for charity by a Christian band. Oklahoma police officers.
Muskogee. Yeah.
Muskogee confiscated $53,000 that was going to an orphanage in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Under the guise that
They
it
were
was
raising
drug
money.
money.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what the cop said, even though there was no drugs found. And they had, of course, drug dogs. But, yeah. So, and we'll move on here. We've got, what, a good hour and a half left or more.
What are you keeping score now?
Am I? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Question me. You'll be off the show in no time, pal. Oh, man. Just hit the sound button right now. You should. Just make it go dead.
I can actually do that with my foot. I can look you dead in the eyes and do it with my foot. 7
incredible people not named Prince the world lost in the past week. It's a fascinating list. I actually compiled the list, and I'd really like to highlight some of these people later on in the show. A lot of one guy was like a month away from his 111th birthday, and yeah. The world he came in, born in 1905.
I don't know if I want to make it to 111.
This guy was like still farming. He was like,
oh, wow.
Oh yeah, he was like still going.
Yeah, that's
working in the garden.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I make it to anything, I want to do everything that I can to push myself to do something. And if I get to the point where I physically can't do something anymore, that's it. Pull the plug.
That's it. And we'll get into some of the other stories on the website a little bit later on, some of the headlines. I really want to get into the idea, since we do have the elections going on, the idea of what they portray real quick before we get a little bit deeper into the show. I know we all have a little bit different ideas about this, but for me, I think the elections are a symbol of, dare I say, what is wrong with America. Especially, I don't know if it's I don't think this election cycle is any different, although this one is much more.
Oh, it's way different.
It's way different, but I don't think it's necessarily worse, because I personally believe when you're sitting here getting Mitt Romney and John Kerry and all these people, the same repetitive persons shoved down your throat. I mean, John Kerry and Mitt Romney were the same person. It was just a Republican-Democrat version of each other. Mm-hmm. So it was frustrating for me to see that over in every election cycle, just getting the same nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So we are getting it. I don't think that, I think that's just as bad as what we're seeing now. At least now we're seeing a little bit of rift in the curtain. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And
there's shit stains all over the curtain. First off, we have this is one of the most amazing elections that I've seen yet, and of course the front runner has been the quietest one out of, and unfortunately I think it's going to take the whole pile, which is probably the most dangerous out of the lot right now, and that's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has done everything she can above board and below board to get to the point where she's at now. And it's
Koch
going to be
brother. What, one of them came out and
Well, no, that's not.
What was the phrasing, Kevin?
No, the title is horribly wrong. They had asked about and of course David Koch being a libertarian, not a leftist or a rightist, answered a question.
Billionaire.
Yes, answered a question about where he basically answered that Bill Clinton, had been a better president than George Bush possibly when it came to the debt situation and the war on terror. Later on, they asked him, could he see
Hillary Clinton in the second
if that meant he could see Hillary Clinton, and their answer was possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. And then they went on to explain this.
And then it was twisted into
he
had endorsed her.
Right. And then it come out and at the end of it actually said would really have to believe that everything she says that she's lying.
Oh, well.
But they took it that as, of course, it gave her a chance to come out and also say, "Oh, I deny I don't accept the recommendation of this support," or, but yeah. But, it includes, you mentioned she's done plenty of stuff aboard and below. That includes, I think, the anti-media just posted an article here just a bit ago, if I'm not mistaken, that about some nasty tricks she pulled where a lot of her supporters apparently got some Bernie groups shut down by posting some pornography.
Dick
Is that what I understand?
Yeah. They're so shady.
Burn.
So shady. I think there's probably a lot of Bernie supporters who would have been like, oh, fine, I'll go with Hillary. But she's just so terrible that they won't vote.
Do you
for
think at this point that when Hillary gets
after having run against her,
do you think when Hillary gets a nomination that he'll be so willing to still say, hey, everybody go vote for Hillary? All my supporters.
I'm curious to see how they play that one.
Really?
I am curious to see how they line that one up.
I mean, because she's...
Well, he's already been on record, and we can argue whether he was playing nice at the moment or
it's
not.
already...
He's already been on record saying, he'll play ball. He's a good company man.
I think he probably will too.
Of course he will. That's Hillary Clinton. I don't want to get shot in the back of the head.
Are they going to make him her vice president?
I think that's the only way.
That would definitely that would secure.
Will the party make
that's her slam dunk, and it's going to left versus right with very few moderate room for wiggle room. Anybody moderate in this election is going to take a step back. They're going to have to. They're either going to take a step back, or there's going to be a third party vote, or possibly a protest vote.
Well,
Burma Supreme D's nuts.
There's not going to be a third party, and I think we need to remind people of that too. It's a lot harder to say, there's talk of Trump's going to get a third party debate. Trump's going to run third party. If Trump wanted to run third party, most states have actually already had their conventions which they would have already had to go through the process of even being on the ballot in those states. And so now at this point, it's too late to actually go through those states and win. So,
I don't know. I think Trump could pretty much pull off whatever he wants to at this point.
He thinks so.
If anybody could do it, if we were talking about anybody else, I'd say, Kevin, you're absolutely 1,000% right. But Trump has done some amazing things that I don't think anybody would ever been able to get away with trying to successfully run for president of the United States of America.
I don't disagree with that, but no one
like be a fascist running for the president of the United States of America openly.
Who knew that fascism was still a thing?
I didn't.
Well,
I was just kidding.
We just didn't call it fascism.
Right.
George Bush called it compassionate conservatism. that's actually what he called it. Yeah,
that's a great term.
I wonder, he was back in Medicare, and
some like nerdy kid at some PR firm just came up with that.
Can you imagine the uproar? I got it. Compassionate conservatism. Can you imagine just
when they came up with it in the room?
Yeah, everybody were like,
when Jeremy came up with it.
Didn't everybody wish they had been the one to coin that term?
Yeah. Or if he got paid for that. Like, I wonder how they would do that.
He got knocked off.
I'll bet he didn't get a dime.
Probably not. He took one for the team.
Not a dime. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. Whatever. They can all lose. I don't care. Let them all lose. I don't know.
I'll tell you.
John McAfee can be president. I don't care.
Oh, I agree.
You can be president, Kevin.
I love that guy, man. John McAfee would be a badass president.
One thing I had this discussion with the wife earlier. One thing you can say between Hillary and Trump, whatever they've said and done in their public and private lives, Hillary Clinton, I think you can definitely link her to. She definitely has a lot more blood on her hands than Trump has. And when you take into
that's the thing. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the show to start again. And when they get in the ring together, that's when it's going to light up.
Ding, ding, ding.
You made when they actually go to it and start debating, assuming they both win the nominations.
Assuming that, yeah.
I mean, and they probably will. I mean, at this point, yeah.
Right.
Who would?
Did you see the story we had up yesterday about both of them sharing the same address in Delaware?
Oh, there's quite a few people that share that address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
hundreds,
a whole
bunch
bunch
of people, right?
285,000 actually, in a nondescript 2-story building in Wilmington, Delaware.
I wonder how much that
That's
property.
A lot
worth.
of people.
Does that help the real estate value of a property like that? Because that certainly is a landmark.
It's probably not very well known, but
it is now.
Well, it's not very well, not very
now.
well known. There's 285,000 people that have an address there. It's not very well known.
Yeah.
Well known to the extent that the neighbors probably were not aware of that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's
and that
probably
was the context
true.
Of which
It's probably very unassuming.
I mean, we're just finding out about this.
Anyway.
Alternative media did not get to it. It took a board of people that arguably have questionable backgrounds to even bring this stuff up.
Yeah, well, Claire, wonderful writer Claire Burness, she wrote the story. We should, when we get her on, we'll really we'll dive into that.
And let me rephrase that. I didn't want for it to sound like the person that brought this up to us, Claire being the one, the author of the article, but this is coming on the heels of the Panama Papers, which are, of course, what I was referring to about the
shady business.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the Panama Papers.
That's we're looking. Everybody's looking and pointing.
That kind of
vanished.
Yeah, quick, didn't it?
It did.
Well, Prince died. Come on, man.
Oh, he did. And as the anti-media said, plenty of other people died, right? That were not named Prince.
Yeah, there were.
Did any of them write Purple Rain?
No, I almost addressed that in the article too, but
yeah,
I didn't. But it's okay. A lot of people did some cool stuff. You can do a lot of cool things on like Purple Rain. There's a lot of cool things you can do.
Yeah, this is very true.
Like When Doves Cry, or Little Red Corvette.
1999. Yeah. Raspberry Beret's a good song. I think that's like one of his underrated.
No, I tell you what.
It doesn't have shit on the song about Pepper.
I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin. I tell you what. That's since I'm the one who actually tried my best to coin this article.
Come on.
I want to go ahead. You got it? The sound working?
Yeah.
Test. Okay.
Yeah, test.
All right. When you got the sound director looking at you, mess here.
You're over there twiddling with knobs and stuff. You scare me when you do that.
So we've got Felix Simoneau Jr. He was believed to be the oldest living man in the United States. Like I said earlier, he was a month before his 111th birthday. He was born in 1905. One of 8 kids. He dropped out of school at 13. Like, can you imagine dropping out of school at 13 years old? And
And he didn't have the cops called on his parents.
right, because he was working in the farm. That's why he dropped out, because he was helping support the family, working on the farm.
Yeah.
He learned responsibility that young in life. The federal government actually expropriated the family's land in the 1920s. He taught himself how to do carpentry work just through reading books.
Wow.
Like, taught himself how to do this. Eventually became a master. Built sugar towers for refineries, and even worked on luxury hotels in New Orleans. I met his wife in the 1930s. Like, this guy died last week.
Wow.
I just thought it was fascinating. Maybe I'm a nerd.
You are a nerd, but I don't see what that's got to do with anything.
So
Nerds usually make more money and get the hotter wives.
well, maybe. I don't get any money.
Nerd's not a
Well,
bad
am I
term
going to get
anymore.
money one day?
You definitely should, man. You deserve to get paid. I agree.
Well, when it happens, let me know.
I will.
Melinda Gates is doable.
What is?
I'm just saying.
Well, close. You were close. That close to being
That was
fired.
that's pretty gross, man.
What?
Yeah, it's
She's
disgusting.
doable.
You're
Just
disgusting.
the mental
I
image.
tell you
of
what,
that.
Tila
I didn't say
Bates.
Bill Gates.
But that's what I thought
Nobody
about.
cares about Bill Gates.
Gay marriage is
Probably people don't care about the people. So,
Hey, Prince died.
oh, did he? I didn't hear.
well played, sir. Well played.
Anyways, we have was a radio announcer for an indigenous radio program passed away and took part in a ton of protests and helped indigenous people throughout Australia and Aboriginal movements around the Commonwealth Games in 1982, bicentennial celebrations in Sydney in 88. Just a real fascinating guy, fascinating life. Did you read all these, Shannon? What did you think about all this? The Gert Schramm ended up going to a concentration camp during World War II, was the only black prisoner. His dad died in Auschwitz.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently in the camp, the guards would have roll call every day, and if you stood out or looked sickly, they'd grab you and would kill you. Sometimes they would send you to like an extermination camp, but they would sometimes would just kill them directly on the spot. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. That's just me.
Nerd.
I don't care. Go to sleep. Don't worry about
I
my
was
news
asleep
story.
and you just woke me up.
Don't worry about my news story.
Go to sleep.
Oh, gracious.
Passing me notes on there.
Well, I'll pass you whatever note I want to.
No,
Just check yes or no.
Can I be fired now so I can go home?
no, not tonight. So just here in a couple minutes, we're expecting to talk to Cheryl Yurkowski. You've actually been speaking to her, Shannon, since before the incident took place. Is that the Seeds of whatever? I don't know.
Seeds of
Seeds of Liberty Group. We've had a couple of Seeds of
yeah.
Liberty's
That's right.
finest on here.
I know exactly who all those people are. I know exactly what it is.
Well, we've had Dave on the show.
Hey, well,
We've
it's
had
not our
Jeremy
fault.
on the
You're
show.
Literally sitting in studio with us, and I'm
Yes.
just like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah, you're an asshole.
Not
That's
our
why.
fault. You're in the minority.
Yeah, you are. You need to get with them. They're good people. Good people. A lot of good talk there.
Like anything, man, it's a group. It's got its ups and downs.
Yeah,
A lot of good memes, though.
Every group has its ups and downs.
Word.
The New York Yankees.
I'm so sick.
The
of
Auburn
social
Tigers.
media. It's so like it's a great thing. Social media is great because you can connect with people all over the world. But I'm just so over it.
Well, you don't connect with anybody though.
You get but you
You're
can't
gonna
get away.
die in this room. You know that, right?
No, I'm not. It's not gonna happen.
Yes. You were
So
thinking
funny.
about that. You were thinking about dying in this man.
About an Oasis song. I started thinking about an Oasis song.
You just tuned me
An
out.
Oasis song.
Yeah.
You can tell
Where did that come from?
we've definitely,
Which one was it, by the way?
Live forever.
definitely noticed.
Anyways, yeah, I'm really looking forward to. I guess I'm looking forward to having her on. It's kind of unfortunate the circumstances of what we're about to discuss. So I guess it's kind of mixed feelings that we're about to have this
unfortunately,
conversation.
we've been having this conversation ever since I've been doing the show with you. We have yet another case of police officers handling a situation that's not quite going their way, so they're just going to go ahead and force it. Pretty ugly force, I might add.
in your
too.
house.
Yeah, in your own house. And this is in Canada.
Yeah, in Ontario.
This is a growing epidemic.
Let that be a reminder that it
Yeah,
doesn't
kind of. You
matter.
don't really hear about stuff like that in Canada.
Well, not for a second should we think that it doesn't go
Again,
on.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not keeping up with Canadian police brutality, so who knows what happens, but
Yeah.
it's not one I hear about.
You definitely don't hear it on par with
Whatever that's worth.
the American situation, for sure. And I would imagine even on the global media scale that we probably hear a lot more about the stuff in America than we do Canada in that respect.
All right, as promised, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest for the evening, Miss Cheryl Yurkowski. Cheryl, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. I wish we were speaking under better circumstances. For those who don't know you or haven't seen the story on the front page of antimedia.org right now, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and explain a little bit about your story and what has transpired recently in your life?
Okay, so everyone, I'm Cheryl Yurkowski. I am a young mother and a model, and I was recently brutally assaulted by my local police department in Lindsay, Ontario, Canada. And they were called on a domestic call to come serve and protect me. And in the process, they ended up totally making the situation worse. And long story short, they entered my home without a warrant, and I was downstairs in my basement sleeping and woke up to my daughter crying and came around the corner wrapped in a blanket. And I saw a police officer in my daughter's room touching my daughter, and I told her to leave. As she wasn't warranted to be there, as I'm pretty aware of my rights, as I'm a fellow voluntarist and anarchist. So I then proceeded to tell her to leave and get away from my child. I did swear at her and use profanity. She didn't like that. And she
In your own
slammed me.
house. Let's go ahead and be clear about that. In your own house.
Yes, in my own house.
And what time of the night was this again? This wasn't like one in the afternoon, was it?
Yeah.
No, this was at like 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing to wake up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, to be quite honest with you, because it's an armed intruder in your house. I mean, anybody can wear a funny costume in your house.
Yeah, of course.
So now let's take it back just for a second. So what precipitated them being there? There was apparently, from what I understand, there was a neighbor had called, had heard commotion from someone else in the house. You were asleep in bed when all this was going on, right?
Yeah, I was sleeping in my bed. Long story short, my ex was extremely intoxicated, and him and I got arguing, and he wouldn't chill out. So I was just said, you know what, frig this, I'm going to bed. So that's what I did. I went to bed, and then next thing you know, I wake up to police in my house that I didn't let in, and I know for a fact Jesse didn't let them in either. It's funny because in the police reports, they say even themselves, I have the reports in front of me right here actually, they say in one of the officers' reports that the door was left open a crack, which it wasn't. My door is never left open a crack.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, who leaves their door open 6 o'clock in the morning? And I know that Jesse said that he asked them to leave in his report. He told them to leave and to step outside, and they refused and just barged in. So they were totally unwarranted, and they were totally told to leave. And they said it was on the premise to make sure that I was okay. Which I just find it funny that you're there to make sure that someone's okay, and you respond by beating the absolute shit out of them.
Wait, were you okay?
Yeah, I was fine.
Well,
I was totally fine, and
they changed it.
Yeah,
they didn't say they were there to
Aren't you glad
keep
they
you
were
okay.
there?
They were just making sure you were okay, and then they changed that.
Oh shit, she's okay. We need to do something about that. Yeah.
All right, we better do something.
Oh man,
it's just an absolute sick story.
So what's the extent of the injuries that you suffered? I know they beat you up pretty good.
Yeah, there's photos. If you guys wanted to watch the interview that I did with Larkin Rose on YouTube, there's actual pictures that he attached, I believe. I have permanent nerve damage in my wrist. They busted something inside of my wrist, and I have permanent nerve damage where I have no feeling in my thumb or my ring finger. And daily activities I'm finding now are a struggle. I just dropped a plate the other day due to not being able to feel what I'm holding. I can't cut anything with scissors on my right hand either. I had bruises all over my arms, all over my back and my body. They popped my shoulder when Jeanette Drew was the female sergeant was trying to arrest me. She was popping my shoulder out of place. And they also denied me medical attention, too. When I was hauled off to jail, they made me sit in a holding cell for 8 hours with no medical attention.
So they showed you no attention to any of your injuries for 8 hours?
Never, no.
I mean, it sounds like you should have your name on the front of the building, the police department, honestly. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it just makes no sense. And what has, throughout this entire process, I mean, what's the best you've gotten out of them? Anything?
Charges?
Yeah, I mean, has anybody at all even kind of signified that this is really messed up, or are they just like acting like, you know, you're the one that's crazy?
They think that I'm a psycho for some reason, and it's really odd because when I was in the back of the cop cruiser, when Mark Donaldson, the male police officer, cocked his fist in my face and said, "I'll personally make sure you never see your effing kid again," I started to cry because at that point I thought, you know, it's over. Like he almost just choked me, strangled me to death in front of my child. Now it's just him and I alone in a cop car, and there's a shotgun sitting right there. I honestly thought he was gonna like blow my brains out or something. So then when he left the cruiser, I sat in there for about 10-15 minutes, and I looked up on the computer screen, and I noticed that they had my file up on the computer screen, and I have no criminal record. But what's interesting to this is there's a backstory. 2 weeks before all of this went down, I was also just brutally assaulted by another authority figure, so to speak, at a local restaurant, security guard, Jenna Bell, that I'm currently filing a lawsuit against. It was all caught on videotape. I have the video. I could post it too. So that I'm suffering from PTSD from, once again, someone who's an authority figure that's supposed to protect and serve us.
What happened in that instance? That sounds interesting.
Long story short, I went to go sing a karaoke song. Someone threw a drink at the bar at someone in the bar section. I got blamed for it. I was yanked off the stage violently by a security guard, which you can see all on the cameras of the bar. And then you see me back out of the crowd. You see my ex-husband come up to come get me. We just miss paths. I come back to the table that I was originally at, grab my drink, and then all of a sudden, one of the servers, Jasmine Oliver, runs into the back corner of the exit, which I thought was kind of funny. And then the female security guard, Jenna Bell, runs at me, charges at me, rips my drink out of my hand. And you can see me put both of my hands up in the air. And you see me say, "What's going on? What's going on?"
There's a video of this, correct?
So
Yes.
wait. So what you're saying is you've filed a lawsuit against who now?
Yeah.
Okay, who's
Jenna Bell.
Okay, who's this? Who's this Jenna Bell person?
This is a security guard who works for All Star Security. And
Separate incident. This is actually
separate incident.
That happened,
This is
what,
2 weeks
before.
Yeah, prior.
2 weeks before, but it ties into this incident. And the reason it ties into this incident, so all that happens. Her friend Jasmine Oliver, the server, and Jenna Bell grab me, hold me down, beat the crap out of me, smash my face off the exit door. And then I left because I knew at that point they had phoned the police, because I once again was taught in self-defense classes, if somebody's holding you down and you have nothing else to defend yourself, you bite them. So that's what I did. I bit Jenna Bell.
Oh, good job.
I bit her. She let go of me, so it works. It's like self-defense. It works. She let go of me. I had 5 people on me. I had Jenna Bell, Jasmine Oliver, Edward Ross, which is another bouncer, security guard there, Jordan Healy, which was a server who was serving me my dinner that night.
With names, by the way.
Yeah.
I remember everything. And there was another one too. I have the reports here somewhere of that case too. So long story short, I left, went home, and then the next day, Sunday, I got a police officer came to my house, placed me under arrest, and he was civil with me. So I was like, okay, I'm under arrest. This sucks, whatever. But because the police officer followed procedure and didn't provoke the situation, I acted normally with him, right? He was fine and respectful to me, so I was fine and respectful back. I match people in how they treat me. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. If you're a jerk to me, I'm a jerk to you. That's how I am. So this is all very, very open to everybody to know that I don't have this hostile action towards police officers all the time, because I was just arrested for once again defending myself against an authority figure that's supposed to be there to, in quotation marks, protect and serve, right? But we all know that's a joke. So I get charged with assault causing bodily harm against this security guard, Jenna Bell, and I didn't leave a statement or anything because I know they say everything can and will be used against you in the court of law. So I said, I'm not leaving a statement. Just watch the tapes, because I'm pretty sure I am innocent and this person full on attacked me. I then went to the hospital after that, and the hospital, the Lindsay Ross Memorial Hospital, booked me for a night because they were very concerned because I had a concussion. And because I had a concussion, I couldn't exactly remember how the events happened because of the bruising on my brain. I had to get a CT scan done, and I had to get chest x-rays and x-rays on my shoulder as they slammed me into a brick wall. I have pictures of these injuries too. So I go to court. I self-represented for this, and I won.
They usually nail you to a cross for that.
Oh, definitely.
They want you to put some money in that system. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all good. That's all good. I study a bit of law. I think everybody should start taking things into their own hands because, as much as people say you should get a lawyer, lawyers still work for the state. They still work for the system, and they're making deals with the crown to make money off you behind your back. So,
just for a reminder for everybody, this is in Ontario, Canada. So, yeah, it's a little bit different up there than it works in the United States.
Yep.
Yeah, like our language is different too, like the crown versus the prosecutor with you guys. It's all weird.
We just refer to him as the man down here.
The man.
The man trying to keep you down.
And they're
corrupt
as they are up there.
Yeah, so anyway, I self-represented in court. I beat my case because the footage at that point, the Crown, the prosecutor, can't sit and back someone who's basically committing perjury on the stand, lying, saying, hey, this person assaulted me, when in fact video evidence shows, no, you're the aggressor and you're the one who's responsible. So I just beat that, and it got thrown out, and my charges were dropped on Thursday. And then Saturday, not even 2 freaking days later, this incident happens.
Oh, wow.
So
That's okay. So now I'm seeing where these two tie together.
Yes.
Are they linked?
Yes.
But do they? Okay, but how would the security company tie in? I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's about 1,000 different ways security company, police,
Well,
because
department's not that far. Of course, it's not.
how it ties together is because these freaking psychos had it up on my profile and hadn't had it updated on their computer screen. The charge was still pending. The charge is supposed to be immediately dropped, and all screens are updated. Now, here's the thing. In the police computers up in Canada, in Ontario, the police can write whatever they want in there. They can put whatever they want in there. I was targeted by these 2 police officers because of key information that they said to me. They threw me in jail after this incident happened with Mark and Jeanette, when they almost killed me. Normally what happens is they hold you in a holding cell for 8 hours or whatever, and they'll release you on a promise to appear, which is what happened with Jenna Bell, that security guard incident. I was released on a promise to appear to court and then fight it in court. Now, what they did is, because that charge was pending, they said I had a criminal record, and they put me in jail. The Central East Correctional Center of Lindsay, Ontario, put me in jail for 5 days. So that's how they got me. So that's how that story ties into this story, and it's very important that these police officers specifically targeted me.
Mm-hmm. And you think it might be possibly a case of sour grapes on their part as far as why you were still in that system? Because I can tell you right now, police officers do not like to get beat.
No, they don't.
Definitely don't like to get beat. And I've known personally in my own personal life of situations where through whatever legal maneuver or court proceeding or the truth came out here, whatever the case may be, they have a really bad habit of retaliation.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting, too, before I got on the phone with you guys, I thought it was pretty important to make sure that I have my 2 cases in front of me, because you have to deal with this information factually. And I've been watching online, and I've been reading the comments, and people are saying her story doesn't match, and she's inconsistent, and these are all lies. I'm actually going by what's written in these freaking reports. So it is, I am being very accurate. And the thing is when I'm looking at my charge screening sheets, which is what you get from the Crown Attorney's Office, which tells you what they're basically going to do, how they're going to route the case and what they're going to do to you. I was looking at the writing, and it's the same Crown. It's the same Crown that's dealing with this new case. So I'm wondering, because my old charge screening form from the first incident with Jenna Bell that I beat, it said just underneath the sentence information, it just said to be determined, because they weren't sure how they were going to proceed with the case. Now this one that I have, I've noticed it's the exact same writing, so it means it's the exact same Crown, so they know who I am. It says that the Crown will proceed with the charges laid. It is summarily, and they will not consider any of the following dispositions that they offer, which is like a diversion or intervention programs, mental health, recognizance of a peace bond. All they're saying is the sentence is jail, length to be determined, and probation. They forced me to give blood, so that way they can test me for diseases because I bit the female officer. And then it says at the bottom of the page that they will ask for custody before a trial date is set, and they will ask for custody after a trial date is set. So I'm wondering if maybe this is the Crown saying, ha ha ha, I got you this time. Because it's the exact same writing as my other charge screening form. So they know who I am.
And again, when you refer to the crown, you're talking about the actual judge. You're what we call in America the judge, because you have to forgive us. You have a pretty big American audience, and we're all trying to make sure we keep up.
I know it's so different on the other side of the imaginary line.
Yeah, it's just different
point.
words, really. I mean, it's all.
We have a judge and then we have a crown. So there's a judge and then the crown and the judge work together. So it's and then we have a justice of the peace too. And what's interesting is when I went to court for my first hearing for this case with Mark and Jeanette, the police assault case, I was served with another charge. The police officer, Jeanette, originally charged me with just assault, not assault causing bodily harm. Now, what they're supposed to do with procedure like that is they're supposed to withdraw the one charge, and then if they're going to recharge me again, they have to issue a warrant for my arrest, which means they'd have to come all the way out here to where I am now, which is up in Burnt River, Ontario, 45 minutes away from Lindsay, because I'm out on bail at my parents' house. So they were supposed to come out, re-arrest me, recharge me, re-fingerprint me, and do all that at the station. I go to court, and I get served with this little piece of paper, and them literally coming over to me and saying, by the way, we're upgrading your charge. And then they hand me my charge screening form, which says sentence, which is jail. The only way that they could get that is by upgrading my charge from assault to assault causing bodily harm. So they're working behind the scenes to try and cage me.
Oh, of course.
Wow.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
After beating the living hell out of you, almost beating you to death in front of your child. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is I'm suffering from like post-traumatic stress disorder from the incident that happened 2 weeks before all this crap with Jenna Bell, because an authority figure totally assaulted me, totally lied on the stand and said I was the one who assaulted her. And I could have gotten big trouble for that too. And I did beat it. And thank God there was video from the restaurant that I was at, because if there wasn't video, it would have been me against 5 freaking people lying.
Yeah, you would.
And I'm telling the truth.
You definitely would have been convicted on that one. No two ways.
Yeah. And then here's this incident. And this incident was I said to my brother-in-law, Bruce Clark, he's 17. He was there. And I said to him, like, I was screaming, record this on the cell phone. And that cell phone has magically disappeared.
Wow. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah, it's funny because in Mark Donaldson's report, he says that there was a cell phone that was on the floor, and they say it was his cell phone, and he picked up the cell phone and pocketed it.
Yes.
No, it wasn't his cell phone. It was Jesse's cell phone.
Oh, that must have been a simple mistake. I'm sure you can get that back, but there's probably not going to be much left on it. I can tell you that right now. If it's
the phone, it's gone.
Oh, so it's just gone now. Okay.
Yeah, I heard that the phone is totally gone. They don't even have it at the station as evidence.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is my phone was left exactly where I had it. Mm-hmm. So they could have taken my phone, but they didn't. They left it where it was. So I found that kind of interesting.
Oh man, this is a horrible story. So where do you go from here? So do you have to appear in court now on these new trumped up charges?
Yeah, I go to court this Thursday, and I have to. The thing is that makes it so tricky is it's a catch-22 for me. If I go for a trial, they're going to put me in custody. The bailiff's just going to come over and arrest me, and then I get hauled off to Correctional East again for God knows how freaking long. And then if I motion for what they're trying to do is they're trying to scare me into pleading to guilty to one of the charges, so then that way they get me in jail that way. Or they're saying, well, if you try and go for a trial, we're going to arrest you there too. So it's a catch-22. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try and adjourn this court date, which means remanding it, so setting it for another 2 weeks in advance, because it says here on my other form that you have up to 90 days from my original court date, which was the 14th of April. I have 90 days to then either plead guilty or motion for a trial. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in a counterclaim against the two police officers. So then that way it kind of freezes everything, and then it will get taken out of a municipal court, and I'm trying to get it into the Supreme Court.
Wow, man, you got your work cut out for you. So,
keep those pictures, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have them all. Like they've been distributed.
It sounds like you're very
all online.
organized. All your
Yeah.
information.
In fact, I was going to first question. Do you think it's really a good idea to represent yourself? But it sounds like you're all over it. So you're all over it.
Yeah. And that's what's important is everybody needs to understand that lawyers work for you, and you can dismiss them at any time. And here's what the lawyers do: is the lawyers still work for the state. Like, they work with these people every single day. So it's, as much as you want to say they work for you and they're looking out for you and your benefit and your safety, there's still that they still work for the state. They're still,
their loyalty is first to the state. Just like here, the loyalty here is to the same thing, same to the state. It is the bar, after all, that they actually pass.
Yeah, everybody just needs to start really understanding and learning the law of the state that they live in or province they live in. Start studying the different sections and codes and acts that they're charging you under. Like when you look in your disclosure up in Canada, I'm flipping through my disclosure, and it says you've been charged under the Criminal Act section 607, whatever. Research that. Look that up, and then read about other cases of other people and read the lawyer's notes, because that's all it is they went to school for that stuff, so they know it because of education. You can do the same thing on the internet and you can beat it. I just beat all these charges, the charge of the assault causing bodily harm with Jenna Bell self-representing. People could have spent thousands of dollars on a lawyer for that. And I just did it by myself because I have support and I have friends who care about me, and I'm learning about the laws and my rights and all that kind of stuff.
Congratulations, by the way. It's a shame we don't have a video of this so that listeners could actually see exactly how well you did, apparently. That's phenomenal.
Well, Cheryl, we're up against the break, but promise us that you will come back on the show and let us know how this case works out, because we really want to know where it's going to go from here. And we wish you all the best in the world. Thank you so much for talking
thank you
with
so
us
much
tonight.
for coming on the show tonight, Cheryl. And good luck with everything. And I hope it all works out for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
And you'll have to keep us updated with everything as well.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be in touch, and you guys can feel free to message me on Facebook. And this is all going to be very publicized because people need to start standing up and realizing that we're not safe. These people aren't here to protect and serve us.
Definitely not.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. And again, good luck with everything. That brings us to closing in on the end of the first hour. If I can keep up with time here. We will be back here in just over 4 minutes. And we will get into the second hour, go over the top stories of the day, and we'll speak to Miss Claire Burnish. Join us in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Way all out
back to that place. Hey! Oh, Lord, take me back. Way out over the sea, I follow that gun to our victory. That time rolls by, love of mankind, and all that is left is what we did with our time. So let's raise our glass high in the air, and let's all be proud for another good year. For the faces of faith on the back of his shirt, who died out alone with his face in the dirt. Come on. Close my eyes wide, I've seen better days. Close my eyes wide, I've seen better days. Hope I celebrate, but tend to forget the places of faith and the people we met for the sake of ourselves, for the hope of mankind. We're tracing our way to the place in this time. Oh, close my eyes, I've seen better days. I said that. So close my eyes, God, take me out of this place.
And welcome back to the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. I'm your host, S.M. Gibson, joined here with Shannon and Kevin. We had Cheryl Yurkowski on in the first hour, and she told about a horrible story going on up in Canada. Yeah, it's a really terrible story. I've PTSD in a week seems like a bit of a stretch for me, but I don't know. It could be real. I'm not here to question anyone. I'm just here to deliver the news. So anyways, we're going to be joined this hour by Miss Claire Burnish, and we're going to talk about that terrible story, among others. We've also got the elections going on tonight. Trump won big shot, and Hillary won 3. The Bernie's 2. Yeah. Kevin, it don't matter, does it?
Not a whole lot. I'm glad you mentioned Claire's coming on. How much longer do we have before we hear from Miss Claire? I always look forward to the stories she brings to us.
I don't know. I'm waiting to hear back from her now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, I think that's probably the cue.
So, anyways, other breaking news coming out right now is that John Kasich's still not leaving the race.
I can't believe that. I can't believe how he showed. That's incredible.
Yeah, he won big.
Sort of.
Kind of, for him.
Yeah, kind of.
For him and his...
Same way that it's incredible that Hillary has such a commanding lead right now. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's all rigged.
Bought and paid for.
It's all rigged. So now, as promised, Miss Claire Burnish,
woohoo!
Journalist extraordinaire. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Doing good. So with so many stories going up on the page today, it's hard to kind of what popped out to you among what you were keeping up with?
Oh, I don't know. So there is a lot going on right now in general. I think that we should probably talk maybe a bit about the fact that today is the 30th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. Because that's fairly pertinent.
It is, and we've got the story up right now on the front page of the antimedia.org. The story that we're not being told 30 years later. Claire, what's your take of where we're at 30 years later?
Well, I think that, often Fukushima has been compared to Chernobyl, and people kind of debate whether maybe it's worse. They're at least fairly similar, but Chernobyl was so horrible. I mean, I remember when it happened, and by firsthand accounts when I was researching this article, people weren't told by their government, how bad the disaster was. It's just like what happened at Fukushima. And 30 years in, we still are seeing reindeer that are like over 1,000 miles away that they're so radioactive, they can't eat them. I mean, this is a disaster that keeps giving. And in bringing that into kind of a modern perspective, I mean, Fukushima is going to be the same way. It's going to be decades, if not hundreds of years before the Earth kind of rights itself for the human mistake here. And it's really disturbing and telling. I mean, we have Indian Point in New York that has all sorts of issues, and that's a nuclear plant that has all sorts of issues. It's, situated less than 30 miles away from millions and millions of people. It feels to me a lot like we've played the science experiment with power and have not really been humbled enough by what it can do when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're treated as an experiment almost. What do we do? I mean, we're looking at the exact same scenario, I think, with Fukushima. Where do you think we're going to stand in 20 years?
Speaking of experiments.
It's going to be still leaking the way it's going now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Fukushima is definitely leaking. But we also have, plants in this country that are leaking all over the place. I mean, like I said, Indian Point is leaking. We have not treated this technology or science with enough respect for what it can do when it goes wrong. And I think that, years and years down the road, it'll be interesting to see what actually happens. It's entirely possible we could face another Chernobyl or Fukushima in this country or anywhere else in the world that employs nuclear power. It's argued that it's perfectly safe, but I don't think that the infrastructure, when it was put in place, was appropriate for how dangerous the technology can be. When you're looking at the lichens and stuff that are around the area near Chernobyl, even 30 years later, they still have an exclusion zone of, several kilometers or quite a number of kilometers where it's just unfit for human living. That should be telling in itself. Why are we playing with this still? I mean, we can employ solar and wind energy in any number of ways and make up for the deficit of energy generation from getting rid of nuclear. And I don't understand why it is that we continue to play around with this when we have no real need to.
It's kind of like during the Gulf War when they used all of that dirty ammunition, all of that that was was laced with depleted uranium.
That never happened.
And then suddenly there was this brand new sickness called Gulf War syndrome that strangely mimicked radiation exposure.
Yeah, that's still going on too. They're using not only like depleted uranium, but they're using enriched uranium and raw uranium in weapons still, like in the Middle East. Like that's continually going on.
Kids over there, I'm telling you.
Well, right here in our own home state, they're supposedly destroying, at the Anderson Army Depot, they're destroying supposedly a large amount of, and they've been doing so for a while, of chemical weapons right here in our home state. It's interesting when you listen to, they actually have a whole system protocol that the people around the area have a whole system worked out of what they have to do. You know, they have gas masks and all this equipment.
They used to have in their schools over there. Used to have drills.
Probably,
You know, the
yeah.
whole getting under the desk drill, and I always
Duck
was,
and cover.
I was so always amazed by that when it goes off, the nuclear explosion. Let's get under their desk.
Yeah, just get under your desk.
It's gonna be okay.
Cover your little heads and pray to Jesus. Yeah.
We even knew that was like a joke when we were little kids and I think we had a couple of those drills still lingering when I was like really, really young. But even then we knew, we were like, are you serious? Do you really think this is going to prevent anything at all? So, yeah.
Was your elementary school, I hate to jump off topic here real quick, but was your elementary school like heavily, very patriotic, like shove that down your throat?
Pretty much.
They did.
Yeah, I mean,
I did.
yeah, this is a really rich white bread neighborhood, and so all of that kind of stuff was in place.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Claire and myself are just about, in fact, I think we are exactly the same age. And,
I don't believe
yeah,
that. There's no way. She doesn't look 57 whatsoever.
Shut your horse mouth.
I mean, you look like you've had a great time, young man.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just got a lot older real fast.
I've lived life, you asshole. I hate both of you people right now. Not you, Claire. These
Can you believe he's talking to you that way, Claire?
right now?
Because I know he would never say it
That's
about
what he
me.
meant, I assure you.
Yeah.
No.
You, Claire.
Yeah.
But, you know, like when I was actually in grade school, before Chernobyl even happened, I had researched 3 Mile Island, you know, back way before the day of the internet.
Were you
and
you were
found
a weird
that
kid?
Huh?
You're a weird kid.
You did the same.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I researched 3 Mile Island and found a bunch of, you know, I found one book that actually had a first-hand account of somebody who had worked in the plant on the day of that accident, and it sounded from his account that it was a lot worse than what was ever reported in the media. And I lost track, of course, because I was so young. I lost track of what book that was and who the person was, and I haven't seen anything that compares to what it was that he talked about ever since. So,
Are you still looking? Are you still on a mission to find that book? Is that what this is all about? Once you find the book, you'll be...
No, but I think that kind of spurned this whole interest in nuclear energy and kind of like how dangerous it can be.
Yeah. Do you ever think that we're going to get rid of it?
I kind of seriously doubt it. You know, just because it's nuclear and is different from, say, fossil fuels doesn't mean that there's an entire industry pushing it, you know, to the hilt behind the scenes with politicians and regulations and everything else.
Of course. So, yeah, I mean, like everything else, you know, it's we're not getting rid of it anytime soon. We ain't got rid of, you know, being dependent on Saudi Arabia by this point. And,
yeah, I mean, and again, Fukushima is destroying the Pacific Ocean as we know it, particularly with the marine wildlife. And what? I mean, it's just basically just, that was unfortunate that happened, and life moves on. Like nothing happened. And, you know, when are we actually going to start to see the real effects of this in human beings, in the human population?
Yeah, exactly. And it lingers. And part of the problem is even then, there's controversy over how different forms of radiation and radioactive particles affect human beings and other wildlife and, you know, whatever. There's controversy even among the scientific community. So how are we possibly supposed to understand what could actually be going on when you have a disaster like this?
Well, I
think Chernobyl kind of proves that.
You've seen X-Men, so I think everybody gets superpowers or something like that, from what I understand. So,
yeah, one can dream.
Japan's not so bad after all, y'all.
well, I mean, what's happening just, you know, on the West Coast?
Yeah.
I think they're getting ravaged by it.
Or even Hawaii, which is geographically is not that far.
You know what's so crazy is that when it first happened, and I know this is still going on, that what the U.S. did, obviously...
But is it going that far south?
South, yeah. I think it's probably more northwest.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's British Columbia and that whole area.
Yeah.
These jokers actually raised up, they just basically adjusted the sensors on the nuclear detectors, you know, that detect the nuclear stuff coming in. Mm-hmm. Just raised them up higher and higher and higher to try to get them to stop basically alerting, and then actually cut them off for a few days.
Well, there are the different particles affect you differently, though, too, and they have different half-lives. So some of this stuff has, like, amazingly long half-lives, and then the others are gone virtually as soon as they leak into the ocean. So
Let's hope we got the good kind, and I don't think we did. I'd like to be more optimistic, but yeah, that's man.
I'm sure somewhere Robert Bentley's just rubbing his hands together right
I don't want to
now.
talk about that guy ever again.
Mr. Burns,
Yeah,
the soon-to-be impeached governor of Alabama.
They're not going to impeach him at all. I don't
No,
like
don't file the charges. He won't go.
But the funny thing is that you brought that up, and
That's completely changing the subject.
Alabama's probably going to have to wind up having 2 more, add them to the list of governors that will probably be in jail or facing some sort of federal
I've been
charge.
meaning to write a story about all the politicians in jail. Why haven't I done that yet? I'll do it
don't know.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
All right,
I'm on it.
I'm writing it in your notes as we speak.
So, Miss Claire, you actually wrote the story and interviewed our guest in the first hour. Just real quick, what was your take on that whole unfortunate situation
with Miss Cheryl?
I am just dumbfounded that not only that happened at all, but also that she's actually facing charges over it. I mean,
that's
they failed to identify themselves. They didn't try to diffuse what happened. I mean, what parent would not react like a mother bear if her child appears to be threatened?
Yeah, that's bonkers. Like that story, I mean, she got messed up bad.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane. I mean, and I've been talking with people about this today, too. It seems as if we've become so desensitized to police violence that it almost doesn't make headlines anymore. And that's really telling in itself because these cases are just horrible.
Is it the media that's doing it, that's failing to report on it?
Maybe the media is failing to report on it because people aren't talking about it anymore because there are so many cases.
I mean, that's it.
You would think that would probably prompt people to talk about it more,
right.
maybe. Yeah.
Some people become apathetic when you see something constantly in the news and it's shoved down your throat. You become apathetic. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people do.
I think a lot of people do, and I think also, look, they've got the diamond that's been laid in front of them ratings-wise, and it's all Trump all the time anyway. I mean, they're not going to talk about
the
some
ultimate
story.
diversion.
Yeah, they're not going to talk about... And then they had Prince die, which, I didn't care for that happening myself, but it doesn't mean you start, go 24 hours covering the news about it. Big deal. Just a person. So go listen to Purple Rain about it. You don't have to sit there and
that's
hover.
the best way to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to, hover in front of, a news channel about it. He's dead in the news, in the story. It's not coming back. Sorry. That sounds, insincere. Right? Well, whatever. It's crass.
So why have the police gotten more brazen with this type of activity?
I think it has to do with the same cycle. I mean, if people are desensitized to it, then police get away with more because people aren't being as vigilant when they should be spreading every single story of police violence and saying enough is enough. When people stop doing that, then there's leeway given, kind of in tacit leeway given for more of it to continue and to escalate. That's
it. No matter how we got there, look, this 28 pages deal all came about because 60 Minutes covered the 28 pages, So they're like, it acted like it existed for the first time, even though it's been around forever. So, yeah, talking about these stories is exactly what we need to do. Sharing these stories is exactly what we need to do. And it's just unfortunate that we live in an age where people don't care. I mean...
And bear in mind, I am not saying that I don't support police officers. I've had plenty of interactions with the police in my life, And some of them have been positive experiences by people that were just simply doing their job and following the letter of their law. And even in some cases, knowing that it was a shit law and saying, look, buddy, I'm sorry, but I'm just doing my job here. This is what they
It was
paid me
like
to do.
it was like Cheryl said in the first hour. She had the interaction with the police officers 2 weeks before. There was no problem. Everything went fine. It's not like there was just some, constant aggression towards all cops.
Yeah.
It was just the situation.
Which I'm sure that some people, if they read that story and kind of get to know Cheryl a little bit, I've interacted with her online quite a bit. Of course, she lives up in Canada. I'm down here in Alabama, and I just know her through online interactions. She's very, very active up there, and we all know how people that are very vocal and people that are very active about liberty type issues.
Definitely put a target on your back.
Yes, absolutely. Lavoy Finicum.
It's the silencing of dissent. I mean, this is kind of across the board. You have, there's kind of almost a campaign of censorship going on right now that seems to have slipped in without anybody really noticing it. And then you also have police gearing up for basically worldwide rioting because they realize how unhappy the whole world is with, state governments at this point. And that is when you start to see the quashing of dissent in every possible manner. And people who are activists and people who speak out and speak truth to power, they are targeted first.
And you know what's so amazing for me is it's like with corporate media, so much of this, it's censorship by a middle almost. They're just not bringing it up. It never happened. And if people never heard it, it never happened. How many times have you heard, if that was true, that would have been on the news?
Of course, right.
And, unfortunately, that's not the way it works. And I think that too plays part of the censorship that we see. Fortunately, we have independent media to help push the truth and a new narrative. But I think when you have a media conglomerate, and it's all being, all the stories are being fed through the same few people, the same few corporations.
Six, I believe, owns 90%. If that's
right. You're not going to get, outside of the lines here. You're going to get pretty much the same exact stories and be told the exact same things. Again, we have the internet now, and they want to take that away. We'll see if that ever happens. It may not now, but they could shut it down tomorrow. Who knows?
But either way,
we have such a interesting few months ahead of us.
They're going to do what they can to control the opposition. And and if you don't think so, look at, I think the anti-media has a story up now about the activist or anybody mentioning the fracking, the Michigan and water situation up in Flint, Michigan. I think I read that activists are being targeted or people that mentioned anything. I actually have an interesting story I won't get into about the FBI paying me a visit while I was at work and following up after a round of radical accusations. Of course, I'm not near on the activist level that, of course, you guys are, but it's interesting the context that it happened and that they would waste their time on somebody such as me when there's obviously much more.
Just sending a friendly little message. That's all.
Right.
Just
right.
Letting you know we're still here. We're keeping an eye on every single thing that you do and everywhere you go and everything you say.
They just making sure you're okay.
We got resources
okay.
to burn.
You're okay.
You're
okay, bro?
At least you were okay when they left. That's the important thing.
Oh, and 7 years later, after the posting of various network affiliation with, put it that way. 7 years later, this is the time frame that we're working on here.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I actually wrote about that Flint thing with the police spying on people.
Is that not crazy, Claire? It's
They are literally just they are saying that they want to make sure that basically they're not in danger, and what they're not stating is they want to protect themselves from the fact that they committed crimes and everybody knows it. That's what it really boils down to. So they're looking for supposedly threats online, but what it translates to is they are spying on everybody to gather as much information as possible when anybody discusses Flint. And it's
Goons.
I mean, this is just horrible.
We're seeing it everywhere. I we sit here and paint that we're moving in the right direction, and yet we're sitting here talking about Fukushima still leaking. Flint, they've just left those poor people there to die. And this isn't a new thing.
There's actually an activist group in my city that goes up to Flint and delivers water to them constantly because they're not getting enough supplies up there. They're not being taken care of. They're poisoned, and then they're left to basically rot. And it's not, I mean, it's just a travesty.
And in most cases, they're not able to sell their homes. Their children are being threatened because, of course, they themselves being threatened because they don't want to pay for water that, of course, is tainted. Who would want to pay for that? But then they're being told, of course, that they have to pay for the water. A lot of times the deed to the home requires that they have to have running service, running water. And can you imagine having to even take showers and having nowhere else, and assuming you don't even drink this stuff? You don't have to drink this stuff to be affected by the nastiness that is in this water. And what gets me is always a reminder that when this stuff even first broke, you remember who was at the time getting fresh water? It was the state employees. They made sure to have fresh water on their floors.
That's good.
I mean, that's not hypocrisy at its finest. And it is this. If I'm not mistaken, this crossed the boundaries from both parties, right? This had both parties had a little bit of doing in this from the dead originally that the Republicans used as a backing to try to make their shift to a different water source. So it seems like this was not just a Republican or a Democrat issue. This seems like a state government.
Well, it never is. When was the last real issue a Democrat or Republican issue? I don't remember the last time we had.
No, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they could have prevented the whole thing. It was, I believe, less than $100 a day for the entire city by treating the supply with like the appropriate treatment. Would have solved the problem that they supposedly caused in the first place to save money. I mean, come on.
And a frustrating thing for me, Claire, is running these stories on social media. It's unfortunate that I think it goes back to what you were talking to with the cop story. They see this, they just see Flint over and over and over, and they become desensitized to it. These people's lives hasn't gotten any better. Things haven't changed. But, the rest of the country, and it's not anybody's fault. It's life. You get caught up with life. You just see the same story over and over and over. We all have our own lives to lead. I do understand that. But at the same time, these people do need help. And, there's a lot of people out there in the position to provide help, and yet nothing has happened.
Well, on the large scale, but I think the anti-media has reported on a couple of cases, including a great story about some of the unions up there that had taken and started,
done amazing work.
Oh, right.
Amazing
if that's
work.
not awesome, that those guys would help out and do that. But even some stars have brought water up there. But you're right, it's not enough, and it's not a permanent solution. We're lucky here where we're at in Alabama that we didn't go through something similar with our state, Jefferson County, with the whole sewer debacle. We've kind of gotten financially tied up, but we're not having god awful water pumped into our homes that we know of, anyways.
Started off with a federal lawsuit, and we were ordered to get this great big super sewer that all of the local politicians suddenly decided to cash in on, and sent a lot of them to federal penitentiaries.
Here's one for you. When we lived in Nashville, we got used to it and didn't notice it anymore. But now going back and visiting, the water there smells like bleach. Like everywhere in Nashville or right outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
Bleach. And I never looked into it, but that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't have it down here. And I was just, what made me think about was Kevin mentioning the problems we had with the sewers here. It's a miracle we didn't go through that. It's a miracle.
Yeah, you can say what you want to. Birmingham does have very clean water.
Yeah, they do, surprisingly.
And now, of course, the piping that it's attached to, which is a lot of what we're dealing with in Flint, Michigan. A lot of the lead piping that's still left in their system. Lead is awful, nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. It really is. And, you know, we really haven't gotten away, I mean, completely away from widespread lead use until just recently. I know in the plumbing industry, we had that, the brass, some type of brass act that finally removed the lead content down to, I mean, just a small micron of a percentage. Most all of your brass now is finally lead free. So yeah, there's still a lot of it that's still installed. There's still a lot of people that are being exposed to lead nationwide, but it's just, I mean, gosh, what those people are going through in Flint is just incredible. It really is.
It really is.
You know, what somebody mentioned about like the community kind of coming together. I mean, there were local mosques, there were people who have helped, like the activist group in my city, Awaken Cincinnatians has helped. I mean, all of these different groups have come together, and it's kind of, in a way, a nice, beautiful story about the power of the people over the government to actually support each other. It's a shame that they don't have more power to be able to help more thoroughly, but at least there is that kind of sense of community of people kind of coming together for the greater good. I mean, I think that's at least one good thing that has come out of this.
We see that in a lot of tragedies, I believe. Down here, when we had the tornado that went through Tuscaloosa, people pulled together from all over the state. And I think we see that, you know, and that's kind of the silver lining in a lot of these stories, is we do see a sense of community. I wish we did that when there wasn't a tragedy.
Exactly.
And we could work together as a community without, you know, some horrible, you know, event having just taken place. But, you know, that's the way it works, apparently. We started to see a bit of a change. We see the protest. We see people standing up for their rights. I think we're starting to see a more awake society. I don't think we're all the way there yet, but we're getting there. We're going to get there because of people like Claire and
really,
Kevin.
Dude, not Kevin. I've seen in the past few weeks, I've seen
and
more.
Shannon, even
Shannon. And if anybody puts Vermin Supreme in office, it'll be the efforts of this man right here.
Will that.
I've been off since day zero.
I mean, that's never going to happen.
Y'all
but
still sneer and mock the pony-based economy and zombie preparedness. So
I do. I laugh at it.
Y'all get ready.
Hey, all joking aside, in the last few weeks I've seen, Claire, I've seen your stories, your articles shared and posted in more places by more people that I usually would not have. I don't know that just even some of my very conservative friends and even some of my very liberal friends who I would normally think, you know, would take issue with one of your posts, and if they singled them out individually or your articles. But it's been great seeing your post and the influence that you've made. Great stuff. I enjoy each one of your articles that comes out. I don't see how you put the effort and the time into churn as much material out as you do, but kudos to you for it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, Claire,
there are so many things that I care about, like so many different issues. I feel sometimes very scattered, but I try to cover as many things that really matter as possible, because I think that it's important that people spread the information and so people are really aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and you do a great job of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Claire, did you see the story up from Lou today about the guy in Alaska that was sentenced to 60 days in jail for being caught?
$1.5 million in pot.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And if it would have, what was the number? If it would have been legal, he would have, because they can like legally sell it now because the law just changed up there. And if he would have had it legally, he would have owed like $50 for each ounce, totaling $300,000. But because it wasn't, he got like a $5,000 fine, and I think that was even suspended. Yeah.
Why do we have a war on a plant?
Oh, I don't know.
Flowers.
I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me that, like, we're finally, maybe something's going to happen that, like, you know, because how did they not throw this guy under the bus? Like, this is crazy. They would typically, like, this guy would just go away forever.
Oh yeah, particularly in a state like Mississippi.
Oh yeah, that would still happen down here, but.
Well, you know, it's funny, Mississippi, just kind of as a comparison.
If
you're caught with anything over an ounce of, we're talking about marijuana, of course. Anything over an ounce is considered a felony in Mississippi. But Alabama, anything over a kilogram, 2.2 pounds, is considered a felony. So you can actually, in Alabama, have 2 pounds and it'd be a misdemeanor.
As we see the end, like kind of the dwindling of the drug war, its arbitrariness becomes completely blatant.
Yep.
Oh, it completely has. I think it's transparent all the way through. And I don't think anybody, like, it shocks me that they still arrest people for it. But at the same time, I've come to expect it. So when I see a story like this, it amazes me. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, maybe we're finally getting there. Maybe this really is coming to an end.
Unfortunately, until state governments change their laws, and that's going to take a lot, we're going to see, unfortunately, people still getting arrested. I don't see police officers using their discretion and their conscience enough on a mass scale to refuse to do that, as long as their state and of course the money involved too, the prison industrial system. Speaking without going further detail, speaking of personal experience, it can wreck your life. It didn't mind, but it can wreck your life in a ridiculous way that really should be reserved for the lowest of the low.
You know, if that's treatment for you, it's going to destroy your life. So, you know, they're going to stop you from doing it and just go ahead and destroy your life for you. That's been treatment in this country for how many years now? Really around the world.
Well, Portugal recently decriminalized over the past, what has it been? It's been a minute now over there, over a decade now. And they're all of their drug arrests have gone down to a very minuscule amount. And the way that they do drug arrests over there compared to the way they do them here, when they suspect somebody's doing drugs, in most cases, if they deem them to be a recreational user, this, that, and the other, kind of wag their finger. Now, if they're caught with something serious, then they'll go before the court, and the court is actually made up of, like, not only just law enforcement, but also like treatment professionals, psychologists, doctors, a lot of people from the medical community and just from the community in general are present there to discuss the person that's in front of them. And, you know, let's say in one case you get somebody that's caught with a couple ecstasy pills at a club, and they're not really a hardcore drug user. It just happened to be something they picked up that night from a friend or something like that, and they unfortunately got caught with it. In most of those cases, they just throw it out of court. Just don't do that again. But if it's somebody that actually has a drug problem, instead of them just throwing them in jail and throwing them in a cell and completely ruining their lives forever, and also putting them in a very harmful situation in the process, it actually starts a process of outpatient and sometimes, in some extreme cases, inpatient, treatment facilities for your problem users. And the police just, they kind of act as a, I don't know, just kind of a little bit of a, what am I trying to, what word am I looking for? I'm having a senior moment. Kind of more,
it's not,
kind of like
56. I wasn't kidding.
Shut up. Kind of like muscle to make sure that they get to their doctor appointments, so they get to their drug, treatment classes and so on and so forth. And again, it's treated with a lot more compassion, a lot more care. We actually talked about the experiment going on in Gloucester, Massachusetts, where my candidate Vermin Supreme is from. Their police department and their compassionate approach that they've taken to heroin addiction, which has risen, skyrocketed in their area, like it has in most suburban areas across the United States that are not used to dealing with heroin. Afghanistan.
That's getting worse down here.
I don't know. I mean, we need to start looking at this with a lot more compassion because, quite frankly, it just boggles my mind that marijuana is demonized in the way that it is, because it is just simply a plant. You can pluck it off the plant, dry it up, and then smoke it a couple days. That's all you have to do to it. And alcohol is legal.
Well, of course, the state sells it themselves, so
yes,
it would make sense. But I know you said that, but I understand what you're saying. But we understand that why it is. It is a prison industrial system. It's a lot of different industries that are corrupt at their core, that are overlapping to keep this. Even from the drug testing themselves. A rare casual pot smoker can fail a drug test and be sentenced, can have his sentence altered, can fail a job interview, whereas a cocaine user or any other drug can lay off for a few days at times and maybe pass a drug test. But it's not a conspiracy, but it's an active system of overlapping industries, and unfortunately, it's being done. And
there's a lot of industries tied to the fact that drugs are illegal in this country.
Definitely,
law enforcement definitely benefits huge, particularly small,
the military,
state and local,
military.
The DEA would pretty much be, I don't know, just three guys in a broom closet if you completely decriminalize marijuana in this country. I mean, there's still a lot of other harder drugs to be looking for that, quite frankly,
well, that's a whole other conversation.
How did all this heroin get here? But yeah, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think we'll get to those days in this country anytime soon. I don't believe. Claire, you think you'll see any of that change anytime soon?
No, I really don't. I mean, there was some promise with the UN special thing that they were just doing about the drug war, and I can't remember what it's called offhand, but there was a lot of promise that there were going to be major steps made in the drug war, and yet they turned around and said, no, we're just not quite ready yet. And, countries have taken it into their own hands to kind of move beyond that and say, you know what, that's absurd, so we're going to kind of implement our own changes. But I don't think that we're going to see that. I wonder if I'll see any of that kind of change in my lifetime.
That's great for them, too. But the UN's been, for a long time, really hard up against legalization, even of marijuana.
They chewed Portugal's ass when they first went through decriminalization.
Of course. Well, they don't want it to become a trend. They knew that it would possibly become a trend.
People are giving up to the lie.
Well, so many years later, though, the UN actually is leaning on Portugal more and more now that they're seeing that decriminalization actually can work with the right set of circumstances. And, I'm not saying that Portugal's model is absolutely perfect, but at least it's a step in the right direction. We're losing a lot of people unnecessarily to the drug war.
Recognizing that jail translates
to real lives.
Recognizing that a jail cell is not always the answer to a problem such as this.
How many of these shootings that we see by police officers that in reality, look, somebody's dead that shouldn't be dead. It ruins the cops' lives. It ruins a ton of people's lives. And it's all a result of the drug war. How many cases?
But now let's talk about legal drugs just for half a second, because legal drugs, legal prescription medication, particularly psychoactive and psychotropic medications, have been found in the diets of a lot of your mass shooters, a lot of just people that are completely unhinged whatsoever and just fly off the handle and go blow up a McDonald's or go into a movie theater and shoot up a bunch of people, or we see so much of that. So much of that with the soldiers that suddenly go on the wild rampages that they do. Fort Hood comes to mind.
Yeah, and then you have the suicide issue, like what Dylan was talking about before. I mean, the legal drugs are just absolutely infinitely worse. Under the guise of being pharmaceuticals, they're infinitely worse than many illegal drugs, and cannabis.
So many people that have gotten strung out on heroin that started with a simple prescription from a doctor or dentist of Lortab 5s or Lortab 10s.
Exactly.
That's usually where it does start out. I forget what major source reported on that here in the last 2 weeks.
I hate to bring this topic up, but in all honesty, what's the deal with? I haven't heard with Prince. Was that like a?
I don't know if the toxicology's come back yet. We'll try.
Like, I am curious to find out if it was a case where it was, something like that.
Did you see the article that Drudge posted? Drudge being a news aggregate, not actually writing the articles, posted an article, and I can't remember if it was the Guardian, or I think it may have been the UK Sun, somebody, but they interviewed a guy who wanted to be called Dr. X, who claimed to have sold Prince $40,000 worth of drugs every 6 months, and he explained that he'd been doing that for a number of years. It's been several years since he'd done it. He turned down an offer to go on the road or to go outside of Miami to go on the road with Prince, but he said he was not surprised whatsoever when he heard the news of that. Now, people argued on Facebook, of course, everybody argued knowing everything about it. Oh, that's not true. He's not a drug addict. This guy wouldn't do that. Forgetting the fact that he, of course, almost OD'd a week before on Percocet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it looks pretty highly likely at this point.
I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
You asked a question, so.
I know I did. I was just interested more in the,
Well, he gave you an answer.
He did.
You're just completely insatiable. Nothing satisfies you.
Never does.
Damn.
He was just pondering. It wasn't really a question. He just.
Yeah, whatever. Don't take his side.
It was rhetorical. Hey, I'm trying to keep my job here, man.
I can't get no satisfaction.
Can I go home now?
Nope.
Damn it.
Fire him.
So,
Next topic.
Go ahead, Clay.
Next topic.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we, I don't think we've talked to you yet about your huge story yesterday on the page with the sharing of addresses with not only Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, but a whole bunch of other people, 285,000 people. In what, a 2-story building?
That sounds insane. How did this just now come about? I mean, how did this go unnoticed by?
It's like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in there.
Right.
Well, this address has actually been kind of notorious for being a tax haven for any number of years. So it's not actually, I mean, I guess the real revelation is that Trump and Hillary actually have, they're using the address as a tax loophole and whatever. And I would like to reiterate again, for the record, that I don't agree with taxes. So my angle here is not the fact that they're dodging taxes, because Trump is thoroughly honest about it. I mean, he's like, yeah, I use that because it helps me out with my money. So what? So I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with Hillary telling the rest of the world that Americans have to pay their taxes, corporations have to pay their taxes, everybody has to do their fair share. And then she turns around and is using a tax haven, not only possibly in Panama, but also inside the U.S. That I have a problem with. And then her spokesperson also goes a step further and says, well, she's not benefiting at all from having her money there. It's like, well, why does she have an address in Delaware then?
Of course not.
That I have a problem with.
Well, she has a long-standing history with the people of Delaware doing something
nefarious and illegal, surely.
No. Come on, man. Hillary's above board. She's never lied. She's for the people. Yeah, she's never lied. She's one of the people. She's one of us.
Definitely. Do you think we'll see Bernie mention this at all?
Nah.
I mean, this seems to be. It would be a great.
Nah, he's still gunning for that consolation prize, the VP chair.
Well, but it would be a great point to bring up. I mean, how else better of a way to link your opponent to Donald Trump? You're obviously your foil on the other side completely. What a great way. I mean, how.
I honestly believe that Bernie, I know this is going to sound crazy to people. I think Bernie Sanders has more in common with Donald Trump than he does Hillary Clinton. That's just my personal belief.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but where does that leave John Kasich and all this?
Hey, listen, he won his state. He's the only one that can beat Hillary, okay?
Yeah, he did win
If you don't believe him, ask him.
What is he now? Like 1 in, 99 Kasich? Can we just go ahead and go there now?
If anything, he taught a lot of other candidates that look with enough cash. Hell, you can ride it out. Screw him.
He didn't. He didn't have enough cash. He's literally being funded. He is $4 million in debt and is being funded by the same people who funded Romney in 2012, who funded the Bushes. Okay? So no.
Did you guys
It's complete.
hear
Want him in because of what we saw today. Because Kasich came in second in 4 of those states. That's why he's in the race. Because for whatever reason, they don't want Trump to be president. So,
Well, I don't either.
Did you guys hear today that Trump came to Bernie's defense and saying that he's being kind of throttled by the media and everything else and is facing a big challenge?
No, Bernie said that about Trump.
No, Trump said that about Bernie.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
I think Trump's just going to end up defending Bernie.
What a great way also to get.
I really do believe that. I think Trump's smart enough to know the right play.
He's going to pull some Bernie supporters when Hillary gets.
He knows what he's doing.
And Hillary gets a nomination.
He's going to outright just be defending Bernie at some
I got
point.
an idea.
I've already thought about it. Him being his running mate.
Yeah, we need to pitch this to Trump's people.
I've already
now.
thought about this. He'd win. Oh, but what do you do then? I mean, is he gonna? I don't know. There's just so many theories you can throw up in the air, and you just make up anything you want. But you don't think it's gonna happen.
It's probably not as crazy as the actual the true scenario that
Right.
we're faced with.
Right.
Why the hell Trump isn't starting a new season of Apprentice, the President's Edition, right now for somebody to be his personal assistant when he's at the White House is beyond me. The ratings would be through the freaking roof.
What if he does the vice president?
Oh, the Apprentice Vice President
He interviews
edition.
them all.
Oh man,
That is
Bernie
so-
does.
I can't have this conversation. I can't have it.
You know you would watch.
We might
that.
as well. I mean, because that's eventually, well, from what I've seen from Trump and the momentum he's been able to gain, you can bet American politics is going to look a lot different from here on out.
Nobody said you had to like Donald Trump to watch that show.
No, that's
Because I will be watching.
Oh yeah.
Don't mean I'm a sports man. Because I do not.
Do you think Al Gore might try? He could be VP again, can he? What are the rules on that?
I don't know. That's a good.
I'm pretty sure they can.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Do that.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't think he would do it.
No.
So, anyways, I guess we're heading towards our showdown of the two goons. So, whatever. At least Trump, like you said, Claire, at least he, kind of gave a decent answer as far as, well, I don't want to pay the taxes, but Hillary, jeez Louise.
You have to.
Yeah,
to be fair,
she's not red-handed, and she still can't be. She still can't be honest. I mean, this is a legal thing, most likely, because there are some
She's
shady
not.
deals going on here. But
It's internal in her to just do that. Like she's a Clinton. It's internal. Just to,
she's the Clinton.
she just
Get that
can't
straight.
be honest.
No.
She can't tell the truth. She can't be. I mean, it's just. The more I hear about her, I'm like, wow, what is this? I can't believe she got this far in the race.
He even gave her a path to tell the truth for once.
Right.
Like he gave her the door, and
no,
she didn't
no
take
sense
it.
in doing all that now. Come
she
on
didn't
now.
take it.
She's had a good run with lies. Let's go ahead and just let her keep going.
Did he
now.
respond first? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, we're. I mean, again, at the end of the day, none of this really matters. We're going to get more of the same, more of our freedoms and liberties yanked away from us under the guise of a big brother keeping us safe and warm and cozy at night. Don't you worry. You got your little iPod. Your iPod may be looking back at you, but don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about that at all. Go watch some TV. Go down to the
Freedom, y'all.
Here, drink some more cocktails. Everything's fine. Here, pop you another couple pills. FDA approved. It'd be great.
You're so right, though. I mean, none of this matters. We debate it constantly, and it's to a degree it's interesting. But when it comes down to it, whoever gets in there is going to end up doing the same, if not worse, than what the previous person did. I mean, they're beholden not only to other politicians, but they're so beholden to the corporations and these, industrial complexes, like the military industrial complexes, big pharma and everything else. We're never really going to see anything different until the entire system changes.
I don't see that changing anytime soon, unfortunately.
Nope.
And one thing I will say about the system that is kind of impressive is every time you're just like, Can't get worse than that last guy. Every single time you look back, it's like, man, that wasn't so bad.
I see a whole sea of worse than that
Could have
guy.
been way worse back then.
Well, even on
We didn't even know what we had.
even on a larger scale, when you look at the debt and you say there's no way this is going to last much longer. The dollar's going to crash. The debt's going to crash this any day now, any month now, any year now. But yet somehow, the powers that be do what they do, and they stretch it out just a little bit longer and freak everybody out and prolong the inevitable even longer.
We're due for a big bank crash anytime now, though. I mean, it is about that time. We have all sorts of things going on that we need to be distracted from to, be grasping our finances, and that would be a nice distraction right there.
Definitely. Dr. Peter Schiff, son of Irwin, famous jailed IRS tax protester, Irwin Schiff. He was Peter's. They call him Dr. Doom, and he's made some predictions in the past. He's been right about a lot of stuff, but he's just. It's funny you mentioned that. He's talking about the fact that in May coming up, and he's not one to give a lot of specific dates. That's pretty dangerous to do. But he gives a date of May that he announced that a dollar collapse is coming. Now, that means a lot of different things. Didn't necessarily mean we're going to see Armageddon within a week, but it's interesting. It's out there. We're definitely due for it. Who would argue? $19 trillion? Is that where we're at? And no hope. Nobody's even talking about the debt whatsoever. Even Trump just backed out recently. He was questioned about that. He said he would wipe out the debt in the first 8 years. I think his
first 8 years.
Right,
please tell me that's not a misquote.
Well,
that's too telling.
I'm almost 99%. And I want to give the benefit of the doubt and say that he said 6 years, but I'm fairly sure that it was 8 years. I'm sure he said off the top of his head is anything. It's like water. But mentioning what he did, he's had to backtrack on it. Of course, he knows that that's not possible. I mean, $19 trillion. That's how many people can actually name how many zeros are in that? How many people could unfortunately write $19 trillion numerically out? That is so much to even fathom. And it's not showing up, and the interest on it.
Yeah, it's all just words to people.
It is.
Though. It's all just words to people.
It's all
they don't realize what that means. Like $19 trillion in debt. It's not even being addressed. We're talking about what can we do to spend more.
Oh, right. To stimulate the economy.
What can we do to spend? We need to spend more. It's not fixed.
It's insane. And kick the bucket. Screw the young generations.
Yeah, we're not going to be around to live it. So.
Hey, I'll say this. To Rand Paul's defense, he was the one person that actually addressed real spending.
Oh, definitely. Bernie actually screwed the audit the Fed bill.
Oh, I know.
Oh, man, I love hearing people. I've not yet heard anybody.
And Ted Cruz, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No show, Ted.
That's it. Rand Paul sends back like a whole bunch of money every time whenever he's supposed to send money back because he's like always under budget for his office.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, like a bunch of money. It's always different every time, but yeah, always under budget. And you don't see that in Washington at all. Like when you hear about that, you gave me how much money? I'll be spending it now. Thank you. I'm sure I've got a cousin somewhere that can do a contracting job for something.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time. But I tell you what, that leads us to the end of tonight's program. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Claire, on this wonderful edition of Anti-Media Radio. We will be back on Thursday with Shannon and Kevin.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
I am SM Gibson. You can always catch our replays at YouTube, or is it on YouTube?
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Go to UCY's page, or you can just type in the search window Anti-Media Radio, and it'll pop right up.
It'll do it every time. And then www.ucy.tv/TAMR to listen to us live.
Join us Thursday.
11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. I am SM Gibson, Anti-Media Radio. Out.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.